Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right with money, but somehow you're never able to get ahead? You're working hard, you're paying the bills, maybe you're even trying to save a little bit, but it just seems like you're never making progress on those financial goals. You're not alone, but you might be caught up in some of the common middle-class money traps that are just making you feel stuck. These traps are sneaky, and also they feel kind of normal. I would imagine most of the people that you know are caught up in at least one of them too. I know I have been. And these traps can keep us kind of quietly stuck for years on end. But in today's video, I want to help you break free. Before we jump in, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Sarah, and on this channel, we talk about biblical stewardship, practical money management, and living like it's all His. If that sounds like something that would encourage you or something you want to grow in, consider hitting that subscribe button and that bell notification so you don't miss when I publish a new video here every week. All right, let's talk about some traps that look normal but are quietly stealing your wealth. Lifestyle creep happens when your income goes up, but your spending also creeps up along with it. You get a raise, you start to make more money, and you think, I've worked hard, I deserve this, and suddenly the car is nicer, the house is bigger, the vacations are more extravagant. You're raising your standard of living in direct proportion to that increase in income, when instead you should be using that gap to help you build wealth. This one is pretty common, and I know that I've fallen into it too. The reality is that most of these things that we're adding to our lifestyle are not wealth-building assets. They're usually liabilities. They're probably not going to help you build long-lasting wealth. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but the fool gulps theirs down. In today's language, that means the wise, they build up margin. They have some breathing room with their finances. And the fool, they just use it all up. That's what lifestyle creep is doing. It's ruining your chance of having more margin. So when your income increases, instead of immediately asking, what can I upgrade? Start thinking about, how can I use what I've been given for bigger kingdom purposes, for lasting things, with a result of giving to things that matter, not just increasing your standard of living. Now, I don't mean to say that you can never increase things. You need a bigger house if your family is growing. That's okay, you can do that. Or maybe you do want to take a slightly nicer vacation when you're 30 than you could afford when you were 20. As always with personal finance, it's about finding careful balance, being a wise steward. You're still allowed to enjoy the things that God blesses you with, but just making sure that you're keeping that margin there as you're doing so will help you to avoid the trap of lifestyle creep and the long-term negative effects it can have on your financial future. Now, this next one is tricky because we often think that income is akin to wealth. If we're making more money, we must be doing better financially than someone who's making less money. But the reality of that is it's simply not true. You can be making $200,000 a year and be up to your eyeballs in debt and building no wealth at all. Or you could make $60,000 a year, live on less than you make, and quietly be building wealth in the background. It's all about the lifestyle choices that you make with how you handle that money that you've been given. The goal never should be earn more and more money, especially if you don't have your financial habits securely fixed when you're making less money. Making more won't suddenly make you better at knowing needs versus wants. It won't make you better at understanding how to invest and how to save. You need both. You need to build wealth and grow your income if you can. That's a good thing to do, but you need to make sure you can handle the small amount and be faithful with that before you think you're going to be more faithful with more. It's just simply not how things work. It's not how human nature works, and it's just not the reality. It's why we often see a lottery winner blow through all of their money and leave a wake of destruction behind them because they didn't know how to handle money before, and when they get a bunch of it, that doesn't suddenly make them financially prudent. When God blesses you with more, you are being asked to steward more. That means you have a bigger responsibility. So you're not just being given more so that you can upgrade everything. You're being given more so that you can manage it more for His purposes. And yes, you are allowed to enjoy some of that too. But it isn't just about building upgraded lifestyle. It's about building more assets, things that will continue to produce wealth down the road. So let's talk about a few assets and investments that will further the kingdom and grow things instead of just pile on liabilities, debt, and payments. First thing you could do is build your skills. Investing in yourself, investing in more education, some specialized training, something that you are looking to grow in, even something that just helps you to enjoy your creativity, like an art class or a dance class or a fun activity or adventure. These types of things stick with you. You can't lose these skills, these experiences. This is a wonderful way to take what God has given you and grow and build something rather than just fritter it away with more stuff. And more skills, more abilities, and more experiences often open more doors. Proverbs 22:29 says, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings." Investing in yourself gives you the opportunity to do more with what God has given you. The next thing you might want to try is starting a business. If you have something that you're interested in and passionate about. This one really just strikes close to home for me because over the past year, we've been working on building this business here at It's All His. We have a goal to reach people with a message of financial freedom to the glory of God. I want to help people and encourage them to spend God's money God's way for God's glory. I hope to use this channel and other resources to teach and encourage, coach, and bless. Is there a business opportunity that might be something you would be interested in doing? It doesn't have to be big, and it doesn't have to be something that replaces your income or is going to make you millions of dollars. It could just be a passion that God has put on your heart. It could be something that is small and stays small, just a little side gig. Using some extra income God has given you to invest in growing a business that will bring Him glory is a great way to build something with that extra income rather than just spend it all on stuff. Starting a business really does shift your mindset. You stop thinking like a consumer, wanting more and more, and you start thinking like a creator, somebody who can produce something that will bless others. Once you're managing your money well, the smart thing to do is have it start working for you. Passive income from investing is a great way to build and grow wealth to the glory of God. This could mean investing in things like your company 401k, which I definitely encourage you to do if you get a match. You could buy index funds or ETFs, one of my favorite ways to invest. You could also think about investing in real estate if that lines up with your financial goals. There are a lot of different ways depending on how much extra income you have, what you're comfortable with, and one of the things I would love to do is help you understand those things. I have some videos about investing that I've made here on the channel, and I will link those down in the description below if you just want to kind of start from scratch and learn some of those key terms and different ways that you can be making your money work for you. It really is not as hard as people think. It's quite simple. Investing is all about consistency. Slow and steady wins the race, but you just have to get started. So don't wait. If you're in the right position to start investing even a little bit of money, do it today. And the next thing that I would encourage you to do with extra income is to practice generosity. We really can't talk about managing God's money without talking about giving some of it back to Him. As Christians, we believe it's all His money anyway, so we're just giving some of what is already His back. It helps us to have gratitude, to trust that He will provide for our needs, and to keep us from letting money be our master. Generous, cheerful giving is a wonderful way to worship God. When you give faithfully to your local church, missionaries, ministries, or people in need, you are glorifying the Lord with what belongs to Him. And you're investing in eternity. You're storing up treasures in heaven where they will last forever. So let's hit a few more middle-class traps that you might be falling into before we wrap up this video. Trap number one is definitely car payments. These are one of the biggest wealth killers. At the time of filming this, the current car payment interest rate is about 9%. Add that into the average monthly car payment here in the States being around $700. Just think about what you could be doing with that investment. That money could be growing at 7 to 10% in an ETF or an index fund, but instead you're throwing it away and giving it to creditors on an asset like a car that is depreciating in value. This is a perfect example of taking money and throwing it at a liability instead of at something that's going to grow wealth. Credit card debt is another common middle-class money trap that keeps people stuck. The average household has about $6,000 in credit card debt. And if you can't pay that off every month, interest is eating away at your income. Upgrading to a bigger home too soon is another middle-class trap that people tend to fall for. They think they're making more money, they need bigger, nicer, better, they're comparing themselves to their friends. But upgrading to the bigger house often means upgrading to bigger expenses, whether it's for more insurance, a higher mortgage payment, maintenance fees, more electricity to heat and cool. Sometimes the smartest thing to do is stick with what you have and get that thing paid off as fast as possible. Not having an emergency fund could be one of the scariest middle-class traps that a lot of people fall into. Thinking that a credit card can serve as an emergency fund, I've talked about that countless times here on the channel. This is just an unwise move financially. You need margin. You want to have some wiggle room. You want to have some liquid cash that you can get to if something unexpected happens so that you don't have to put it on a credit card or borrow money from a friend or family member or hit the bank up for a personal loan. You don't want an emergency to result in more debt that makes it so that you cannot build wealth. Comparison spending is another trap that keeps us stuck. Watching all of those restock videos and those shopping hauls, they are so popular here on YouTube. But all you're doing is breeding discontentment, breeding comparison and envy. Rather than gratitude and being thankful for where you're at, you're just always looking to more. 1 Timothy 6:6 tells us that godliness with contentment is great gain. That is definitely a verse that can help you with financial freedom. Seek to grow in godliness as a wise steward with all of the money that he's given to you, and also seek to be content with what you already have and not look around at what he's given everyone else, because really that's just not your business. It's not my business. We need to be focused in on stewarding what he's chosen us to steward, because that's what we will have to give an account for, not what everyone on Facebook is doing with the money that he's given them. I'd love to know in the comments, which of these money traps have you fallen into? Let's have a conversation there about how we maybe got out of some of these money traps, because I know that I could definitely share some stories about different ways and things that I've done that have helped me see the error of my ways and have produced fruit financially and spiritually in my life. I want to help and encourage you, and I know here the whole community at It's All His, we could help and encourage one another. So let's talk in the comments below. Your story might be just what God wants someone else to hear today. The bottom line is middle-class money traps are not about how much you make. It's about how you think about what you're supposed to do with what you've been given. The world says you need more, you need better, you deserve this, but God says, be faithful with what I give you, whether it's little or much. When we see ourselves as stewards, managers, not owners, it really changes everything and can help us to break free from the traps that so many people are enslaved in. If this video encouraged you, hit that like button, and again, consider subscribing for more financial biblical encouragement each week, and click over into this playlist next to keep honoring God with your finances. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.